Out of 8 billion souls on this planet, heaven held an executive session specifically for your case. Not a general meeting, not a group briefing, a hearing for you. And when that session adjourned, the enemy who tried to dismantle your life walked out in tears. You didn't stumble onto this message by accident. You were summoned. There is a verdict with your name on it, and you need to know exactly what was decided. Stay with me until the end. Before we finish, I'm going to give you the protocol of the sealed verdict. 3 specific steps that lock in heaven's decision and block any legal loophole the enemy might try to use to steal back what you've just won. I know what you've been through. Let me prove to you that I really know. There was a day, one specific day that is still burned into your memory in high definition. It was the day the adversary won. A public promotion, recognition in front of everyone, a victory that should have been yours handed to someone else. And you just stood there, silent, wearing a smile that cost you more than anyone will ever understand. Because it wasn't just about the loss. It was the question that went unanswered. Why does a just God let this happen? And then the nights came. 3 last a.m. You'd wake up with your mind racing, replaying every detail of the injustice, hunting for the mistake you must have made, trying to find what you could have done differently. And the cruelest part was that you couldn't find the error. Because the error wasn't yours. What happened wasn't a consequence of your failure. It was the adversary acting with calculated intent, and you carried the weight of the fallout as if it were your own fault. Your hard work vanished from the room. The credit for what you built, nurtured, and delivered went to another name. You heard the praise being given, and your name wasn't even whispered. It was as if everything you did never existed. And when people asked how you were doing, you'd say, "I'm fine," while your hands were shaking under the table, while the wound was still fresh, while you carried a burden that was never yours to bear. If this is hitting home, hit the like button right now. That like is your public amen on this case. You seek, you dedicate yourself, you do everything right, and yet abundance never comes. And the worst part, you start wondering if you're doing something wrong, if you're being heard up above, if it's meant for you at all. It's not a lack of faith or worthiness. It's a spiritual blockage that ordinary prayer alone cannot break. The Miracle Journal unblocks this in 21 days with a spiritual protocol that works exactly where your prayer doesn't reach. Along with the journal, you'll also receive as a gift the prayer guide and the Psalms manual with the most powerful sacred practices and texts to deepen your transformation. To claim your version of the journal, tap the link in the comments right below this video. That like is your public amen on this case. Heaven records what you confess in the light. I brought you here for 3 reasons. 3 things you will know for certain before this message ends. First, God's silence wasn't absence. It was deliberation. While you interpreted the silence as abandonment, there was a hearing in progress. Your case was being tried. It wasn't archived. It wasn't forgotten. It was being processed by a jurisdiction that no human adversary can corrupt. The meeting is over. The verdict has been reached, and it is entirely in your favor. Second, before this message ends, you're going to receive the protocol on how to accept this verdict without leaving any openings for the enemy to appeal. There is a right way to receive what heaven has decided, and there is a way that inadvertently keeps the door open for a countersuit. You are going to learn the difference. Third, by the end of this video, you'll be able to say something you've never been able to say with full conviction. You'll be able to say, "I no longer have to defend my own name. Heaven has already defended it." Not as a slogan, as a lived reality. I put you here because this word is for you, not for the people around you. For you, and what is about to be revealed will completely reorder everything you thought you knew about waiting and justice. Close your eyes for just a second. Just 1 second. Take a deep breath. Because what I'm about to show you are the signs that heaven has already moved. not what will happen. What is already happening. Pay attention. Every sign has a name the world gave it, but I'm going to tell you what it actually is. The first sign. The adversary has started acting erratic and nervous. There's no apparent reason for it from their perspective. Rushed decisions, shifts in posture that don't make sense to outsiders, overreacting to tiny things. You might have called it strange behavior. Maybe you ignored it. Maybe you even felt sorry for them. But what you were seeing wasn't just common stress. The spirit of your adversary felt what their mind hasn't processed yet. The breakthrough is so close that the spiritual realm is already reacting. When the enemy starts acting out of character for no visible reason, it's because their spirit realized the ground just shifted beneath their feet. The second sign, doors that the adversary locked are being opened by hands they don't control. Opportunities arriving from places you never expected. Invitations coming from directions the adversary never even considered. You called it coincidence. You called it luck or good timing. But what you were seeing was heaven opening side channels. See, the enemy can bolt the front door, but they don't have authority over every entrance. When the doors they locked with their own hands start opening through routes they didn't map out, it's because restoration is moving through paths they can't reach. The third sign, a deep peace about the situation. Not the kind of peace that comes from giving up. Not the quiet of resignation, which looks like peace, but is actually a hiding place. The peace I'm describing has a different texture. It arrives as a certainty. And you realized you stopped needing the adversary to apologize. Not because what they did stopped mattering, but because you, without being able to fully explain why, stopped waiting for them to move so that you could move. This didn't come from weakness. It came from something the Spirit deposited in you without you even asking. When peace has no rational explanation and didn't come from giving up, it's because heaven has already informed your spirit of what your mind hasn't received in words yet. The fourth sign, people of influence have started noticing you. Not just anyone. Specifically, the people the adversary never wanted to see you. People in a position to open what the enemy closed. You might have called this networking or being in the right place, but the status the adversary destroyed is being restored. And it's being restored in a way that the adversary can't interfere with because the hands rebuilding your reputation are outside of their reach. The next sign is the hardest one to hear. It's the one the enemy has spent the most time trying to make you ignore. Because admitting it means admitting that heaven is answering in a direct, measurable way. The fifth sign. The adversary lost something of value in the exact same area where they tried to take you down. Not something random. In the same field. What they used as a weapon against you has started operating against them. What they built to exclude you has started cracking from the inside. You might have felt uncomfortable noticing it. You might have called it a coincidence. You might have even struggled with the idea that feeling relief was wrong. But what you were seeing was divine correspondence. Heaven doesn't work in randomness. When the adversary's fall happens in the same area as your injustice, it's not an accident, it's an answer. If these signs have reached you, type freedom in the comments. Type freedom if this word found you. Close your eyes for a second. Take a deep breath. Because what I'm about to tell you doesn't work if your attention is divided. What's coming next needs your full heart. There is a story in Scripture that I need you to hear not as a religious tale, but as a map. Joseph was sold out by his own brothers. The people who should have been his safety net were the architects of his downfall. They planned every detail. The pit, the price, the lie they told their father. And what happened to Joseph afterward wasn't immediate. He went through Potiphar's house. He went through prison. He went through years of invisibility that must have felt like an eternity. But there was a day, one specific day when the brothers who destroyed his future bowed before him and needed exactly what they had tried to bury. The very thing they used to try to kill Joseph's future became their only path to survival. And Joseph, who could have used that moment for every fragment of accumulated rage, said something extraordinary. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. Notice, Joseph didn't minimize what was done. He didn't call it a small thing. He acknowledged it was evil. And yet he knew the adversary didn't have the final word on his destiny. You are in the moment where the brothers bow. There is also an image I want you to keep. A tree whose roots grow underneath the asphalt. Whoever laid the pavement thought the weight would suffocate anything beneath it. But the root doesn't know suffocation. It doesn't fight the asphalt. It doesn't make a sound. It just keeps growing, and eventually the pavement cracks from the inside without the tree ever having to make a violent move. The adversary piled weight on you, hoping to choke you out. That weight became leverage, and the stone is cracking from the inside without you having to lift a finger. Joseph was declared dead. The tree was declared suffocated. You were declared defeated. All three declarations were wrong. Type Joseph or type root in the comments if you know which side of history you're on. Let me stop for one full minute. You held on without proof that you'd ever get an answer. You kept something alive inside you during nights that had no external evidence that it was worth holding on to. When the adversary was winning on every visible front, you were still standing. You didn't take revenge into your own hands. Even though you were right, even though you had a reason, even though you had the opportunity, you waited, and you made it to this moment. The verdict has been handed down, and the adversary knows it. What you're about to hear isn't a human title. It's not social recognition. It's what I call you when I speak to heaven about you. It's the name that was registered before the adversary ever formulated the plan to take you down. You have always been this. You were just waiting for the hour to receive what has always been yours. You are the verdict bearer. I saw every time you chose not to strike back when you had every reason to. I saw every moment when anger was available and you chose not to feed it. Not because it didn't hurt. It hurt more than you let on. But you preserved your character while the adversary destroyed theirs with their own actions. Every choice not to retaliate was a brick in the construction of the authority you carry now. What this identity authorizes you to do is stop proving your innocence. The verdict was reached by a court higher than any human tribunal. You don't need to build arguments anymore. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to wait for the right people to understand what happened. Heaven already understands, and the decree has already been signed. You are the living testimony. I saw what the adversary hoped would stay buried. I saw the injustice they calculated no one would ever fully know. And I am already preparing the channel. What was done against you isn't going to stay in you. It's going to become the word that sets people free who are exactly where you used to be. Others who wake up at 3 a.m. replaying an unnamed injustice. Others who sent the "I'm fine" text with a shaking hand. Others who are right now exactly where you were, and your crossing is going to be the proof that heaven answers. Not a theory, evidence. What this identity authorizes you to do is start talking about the journey, not as a victim, as a witness, not to explain what the adversary did, but to show what heaven did with what the adversary did. You are the publicly restored. I saw the loss of position. I saw when your name left the room. I saw when the credit went somewhere else. I saw the effort that vanished without acknowledgement. I recorded every detail with a precision no human camera can capture. And that record was kept not to punish the adversary, but to guide the restoration with exactness. What was taken will be restored with specificity because the inventory was kept with specificity. What this identity authorizes you to do is receive the restoration without guilt, without dampening your joy because the adversary lost, without shrinking what's being returned because it seems like too much. Restoration isn't revenge, it's justice. And justice can be received with clean joy. Type the name of the identity that reached you in the comments. Verdict bearer, living testimony, or publicly restored. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel yet, click subscribe now. This word deserves to find you every time it comes. Now we come to the protocol of the sealed verdict. This protocol has 3 steps. Each step is concrete. Each step has a specific function. And the sign that it worked isn't euphoria. It's stillness. The weight leaving, not the adrenaline arriving. Step 1. Name the case out loud. Say what happened without euphemisms, without softening it, without the polite version you tell people. The full version, out loud, to heaven. This is what happened. This was the injustice. This was the cost I paid. And as you say it, hand over the entire file. Take your own hands off the case. Because as long as the case is still in your hands, you are still an active party in the litigation. Heaven takes over when you let go. And to let go, you must name it completely. Step 2. Declare the severance of the link. The adversary no longer has access to your future. This isn't a wish. It's a declaration of spiritual reality. Say it out loud. What was taken from me will be restored through paths you don't control and cannot block. You no longer have access to what is being built from here on out. The bond that injustice creates between you and the adversary doesn't dissolve with time. It dissolves with intentional declaration. This is that declaration. Step 3. Receive the verdict in silence. Don't announce it. Don't celebrate loudly before the time is right. Don't tell everyone immediately. Heaven moves in those who know how to guard what was given. There is a right moment for the testimony. That moment is prepared by the guarding. Receive the verdict with the solemnity of someone who knows the weight of what is being delivered. If you are receiving this protocol, type received in the comments. Type received. Now I need to warn you about what is going to happen in the next 72 hours. Not as a possibility, as a certainty. 3 things will be thrown at you, and I'm going to name each one so that when they arrive, you recognize them. The first is called righteous anger. It will arrive disguised as a principle. It will present itself as integrity, as if holding on to the bitterness is the same as standing up against injustice, as if letting go is the same as condoning it. But held over anger creates an invisible chain, and whoever is held by that chain isn't denouncing the adversary. They are shackled to them. As long as anger is your permanent residence, the adversary still has a line connecting their future to yours. Anger can be felt. It cannot be inhabited. The second is called the mental replay. It will arrive disguised as vigilance, as if rewatching the scene continuously will protect you from being hurt the same way again, as if the review is learning. But what the replay does isn't learning, it's freezing. Every time you go back to the scene, you are spiritually back in the day. And the verdict was given to the person who is in the day of the breakthrough, not the day of the wound. The enemy will try to lock you in the wrong day. The third is called the wait for the apology. This is the most sophisticated one. It will arrive disguised as dignity, as if reconciliation were a prerequisite for moving forward, as if you can only go on after the adversary acknowledges what they did. But the verdict isn't waiting for the adversary's repentance to be executed. The execution has already begun. And you can move forward without waiting for a word that might never come. Letting go isn't saying they were right. It's stopping giving them power. And there is an internal enemy. A voice that will sound like maturity. It will say, "This is all just a coincidence. You're deluding yourself thinking heaven moved specifically for you. Don't overreact." This voice will arrive the moment the signs start piling up. At the exact moment the evidence is becoming too big to ignore. This is the oldest tactic, making you doubt at the moment of confirmation. Type protected in the comments. The decree has been sealed. Type protected. Now I want you to do one thing. Place your hand over your chest. You can keep your eyes open if you need to, But if you can, close them. Take a deep breath. Hold it for a second and let it out slowly. Whatever you've carried up to this point, I want you to hand it over now. Not tomorrow. Now. The replay of the injustice. The scene that still loops at 3 a.m. when the silence hits. The mental folder you've opened 100 times looking for the mistake that wasn't yours. Hand that over now. The need to see the adversary pay before you move on. The feeling that advancing without seeing the consequence hit them would be unfair. Hand that over too. And the suspicion that heaven moves too slowly for what you lost. The question that went unanswered. Why did it take so long? Hand that one over as well. Now I need to speak to you directly. I was there that night. At 3:00 a.m. when you were awake, replaying the injustice for the 1,000th time. Looking for the error that wasn't yours. I wasn't sleeping while you were agonizing over that moment. I was more present that night than in any celebration you've ever experienced. And I saw something the night that the adversary can never see. I saw a human being who, even without proof, even without an answer, even without evidence that they would ever be heard, did not let go of what they believed about me. I was there that day. The day the adversary won publicly and you stood in silence with the smile that cost more than anyone imagined. I saw the restraint. I saw what you didn't say. I saw what you chose not to do. And while you interpreted my silence as distance, I was closer than I've ever been. Because the silence you lived through wasn't my absence. It was the waiting room of the verdict. The adversary planned to bury what belongs to you. They planned it with intent, with calculation, with method. And I let the plan move forward. Not because I was sleeping, because there are things that are only built in the crossing. Authorities that are only born in the waiting. Testimonies that only take shape when the pain was real. If I had interrupted earlier, what you would have is a quick win. What you have now is something the adversary cannot imitate, cannot buy, and cannot destroy. You were tested, and you did not break. The verdict is sealed. What is yours is coming. What was taken is returning. Through paths the adversary didn't map and cannot control. And the name that left the room is going to be spoken in environments the adversary will never have the access to interfere with. It is done. I saw everything, and what I saw was enough for the verdict. Now say it out loud, wherever you are. Say it out loud. My case has been judged, and the verdict is in my favor. Say it again, with more conviction. My case has been judged, and the verdict is in my favor. It is done. What was surrendered here has been released. Type done in the comments right now. Not later. Now. Type done as confirmation that you received what was given here. And think of one person, not a group. One specific person who is waking up at 3 a.m. replaying an injustice. Someone who sent the "I'm fine" text when they weren't. Someone who watched the adversary win and stayed silent. Send this video to them now, not tomorrow. Now. Because the verdict that was sealed for you might be the turning point for them too. The next video will show you what happens after the verdict. What heaven does with those who knew how to receive what was given. Don't miss it. You are not the same person you were when this message started. It is done. You seek. You dedicate yourself. You do everything right, and yet abundance never comes. And the worst part? You start wondering if you're doing something wrong, if you're being heard up above, if it's meant for you at all. It's not a lack of faith or worthiness. It's a spiritual blockage that ordinary prayer alone cannot break. The Miracle Journal unblocks this in 21 days with a spiritual protocol that works exactly where your prayer doesn't reach. Along with the journal, you'll also receive as a gift the prayer guide and the Psalms manual with the most powerful sacred practices and texts to deepen your transformation. To claim your version of the journal, tap the link in the comments right below this video.